Hello, I have read all these books by Mark Forster. Firstly, Get Everything Done and Still Have Time to Play. Loved it, one of my favourites, still use some techniques from that now, every day. And How to Make Your Dreams Come True, written in a very interesting format. Do It Tomorrow. More ideas from Mark on time management. But this video is about Autofocus, which is Mark's brand new system. Very, very simple. And he hasn't written a book, well, not yet. You can go to his website and get some very simple instructions to get started straight away. So I was lucky enough to have lunch with Mark and I got to ask him a few questions. How would you summarise it?
Well, it's actually very, very simple because the Autofocus System consists of one gigantic list and you simply write down things as they occur to you. But what you're doing is dealing with them one page at a time. You take each page as a separate unit and work on it for as long as you feel like working on it. And when you've finished, you then move on to the next page and work on that. And eventually go back to the beginning. And that means that the number of items in each page is getting smaller and smaller each time you go round. And that produces an effect which is called the closed list effect, which means that you actually get all the items on the page done, rather than just zoom ahead with the easy ones.
It'd be really interesting to see how you actually choose what to do on your list and how you decide to go to the next page.
Sure, you can do that. Yeah. Well, this is actually my genuine list, which you can zoom in on, which has got some pretty strange items on it, so don't zoom too close. But this is actually the last page but one, and I've just gone over the edge here into a new page. So what I do when I come onto a page is I just glance down it, and using a pen or a pointer, whatever you like to use, or your finger, just go down it, looking at each item in turn, very briefly, with no intention of doing any of them at all. And that's just to get the page fixed in your mind. What is on it? What is on it? And your mind is subconsciously starting already to think about what order you should be doing things and whether you should be doing things or not. So the next stage is to start again at the top, and this time go down it a little bit more slowly, just looking at each item and pausing your pen at it until you come to an item which you feel is ready to be done. Now, what do I mean by that? I just basically mean that the item, that you get that feeling in your mind as you look at the item, okay, I can do that now. It may be a sense of release, it may be just a very subtle feeling, maybe nothing at all. You may just think, okay, I'm going to do that. So I've just come to this item here, email. I've decided I'm going to do email, and I commit myself to that item by putting a dot against it. That helps me to find out where I am, but it also is just the first action in doing the item. And the first step is always the most difficult, so the first step is to put a dot against the item. So I go off and do my email, and when I finish that, what I do is, because email is something I am constantly going to be coming back to, is I write it at the end of the list, and it's best to do it in this order. Write it at the end of the list, and then cross out the first one. So I've done that task. What do I do next? I just carry on down the page in exactly the same way until I come to the next thing I want to do. Just carry on down until I get to the end of the page. And what do I do then? I start again at the top. Until I've gone right down the page without doing any items. That means I've done all the items on that page which I feel ready to do now. What do I do then? I turn over the page and start on the next page.
Right.
Now, I don't cross anything out or dismiss anything at this stage. I just carry on. And as I think of things or as they come up, I will be adding them to the end of the list. So that's the simple process. When I finally got to the end, and there's nothing more that I want to do on this last page, I will go back to the beginning. Now where's that going to be? Goes back a long way. Now what I do is when I've finished a page completely, is I put a cross against it. See that? And when there's no active pages before it, I put a circle around the cross. Now that means there's nothing active before that cross. So what I've got to do is to find the last active page. That's a cross without a circle. Ah yes, there's the active page. And I've just got 2 items left on that. So again, what I do is exactly the same as before. Just read those 2 items without any intention to do them, and then look at them a little bit harder and decide which one I'm going to do. If I decide I'm not going to do either of them, which is quite likely to happen when we're down to a few items, what I do is dismiss the item. It means that I've been through this page loads of times already, so these items have had plenty of chance to get done. And what I do to dismiss an item, you can see it on this page here, is that I highlight it. 3 items got dismissed on that particular page. They were basically 3 items which, for one reason or another, I don't actually feel I really want to do. I put them down because I thought I ought to do them, but in each of those cases, it was a feeling I ought to do them rather than that I really wanted to do them, so they're out. And I haven't actually at any stage re-entered them because I still don't want to do them and don't feel they're relevant at the moment. If I did want to re-enter an item at the end of the list, it's a good idea to look at it carefully and rephrase it a bit, or break it down so that it's easier to do.
And one of the things that you're saying about little and often is a good approach.
Yeah, one of the things to realise is before you actually can strike out an item, all you have to do is some work on it. You don't have to finish it. So for instance, if I was doing the email, and I had a particularly large batch of email, and got halfway through it and thought, oh, I can't be bothered to do any more of this, I could simply cross it out and re-enter it at the end, and then I get another chance a page further on. Just doing something towards it gets it moving. And once it's moving, it tends to get a bit of momentum behind it and to carry on. So it works very nicely, and the reason I call it the Autofocus System is because of the way it's designed, so that what you've basically got is a series of closed lists, is that it actually focuses your mind in such a way on a fairly narrow segment of what you've got to do that your intuition can come into play. What we're trying to do here is to get the rational part of your mind in tune with the intuitive part of your mind. If you like to put it a different way, the left brain in tune with the right brain. There's all sorts of ways you can put it. I don't want to be terribly scientific about that, but when you're making decisions from your mind in balance, rational decisions tend very often to be the result of you feeling you ought to do something, but all the rest of you is saying, no, I don't want to do that. But on the other hand, if you're making decisions simply out of your feelings, often they're not very logical, and they can lead you astray. But if you can get that rational and intuitive feeling side of yourself in balance, then you're going to be making decisions which make sense, both from a rational point of view and from the sense of how you're actually feeling about it.
I was just going to say that was great. Right, we're off.
We're off.
Thank you to the Grosvenor Hotel for hosting our video today.